I only touch greatness.
Hey, yo, this is the Only I Touch Greatness podcast, man. I am the world's greatest party rocker, the KID, the Kid Capri, and that's the love, making it hot. See y'all around. Stay tuned.
So we understand it. You're often referred to as the mixtape guru and like a mixtape legend. I used to be a mixtape DJ as well. What was your personal highlight of your career so far? Like the moment you had an out-of-body experience?
I had a whole lot, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, if you know my, I'm sure you know, there's a lot. It's Def Comedy. There's so much. It's, you know.
I know. I was about to say.
You got to kind of know my story before you talk to me.
You just did Yankee Stadium. I mean, how was that?
Okay, that's more of a direct question. I can answer that better. That was dope. That was dope because everybody thought I was going to come out with an artist, and I came out with the captain of the Yankees. Yankee Stadium.
Man. I was hoping you were going to say that. That's why I was alley-ooping the question to you.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was definitely a monumental moment, you know, especially coming off of the BET Awards, me curating the BET Awards. You know, that was like a real big deal. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and shout out to David Jeter for coming up and doing that.
Right. I mean, especially with the mixtapes and just 50 years of hip hop, we was all amped. And I love it. I always had this thinking, right? Because your sets, like you always make sure you have Let Me Clear My Throat or anything with the 45 on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always see that. Tell me, is that like always going to be your stamp, and it's always going to be that way? Like, what?
The reason why you always hear that record, is because 45 King is a personal friend of mine. He's like a brother to me.
Wow.
Right, and you know, so he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. You know what I'm saying? Like this dude did stand for Eminem. This dude, he gave me Hard Knock Life for me to use, but I gave it to Jay-Z. So that's how Jay-Z got Hard Knock Life. But 45 King produced, but that was my record. That was going on my last album, Soundtrack to the Streets. I gave it to Jay, and you know, Jay blew up with it. But 45 King was the producer of it. You know what I'm saying? 45 King was the one that brought out Queen Latifah. You know, he was the first hip hop producer, and I'm the second one to produce Madonna. Right? So, you know, that record that he did was so monumental, but DJ Kool get more credit for using it than 45 King did for making it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I always make sure I play it so that he get the recognition for it. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things. You know, it's just something that I do.
Right. And I'm glad you said it because even the iconic Ed Lover dance, which I'm still going to try to do it on TikTok, because that's what I always, when you're a fan of hip hop, you always want to find out whose beat is that, whose instrumental is that, who's in the production of that beat. And
that's the sad thing about that's the downside of the internet is that at one time when you had an album cover, you could read who were the producers and who were the record labels and the engineers, and you know, you could read the inside jacket. It was all the information right there. Or if you had a CD, you could read all that stuff. It was there. Now it's, you know, that's why a lot of producers, when you hear their record, when you hear the record come on, you'll hear an ID. You know, you'll hear the beginning, Metro Boomin on the track, you know, like you'll hear something like that, because
like a tag.
If they don't have it, you'll never know who the producer is that made it. You know what I'm saying? Right. And they'll never get the credit for doing it. It'll just be another beat out there. You know what I mean? Right. So that's why that started.
Right, and it used to have curiosity because I was just talking to High Tech. Shout out to Olu from Sample Lounge, and we got to talk to him about this. He even said himself, he's like, that's why I'm so glad I never did tags, because it makes people go to the booklet or go to find out who was that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the fun of it, knowing who produced what. That's how we found a lot of break beats. and, you know, funk records and stuff like that, because we would look to see who the drummer was that played on a breakbeat that we had. And if he played on another album, chances are he did something funky on that album. Same thing with a guitar player or a bass player. They might have been the dopest bass player, and he did some real dope basses on a certain album. You would look for another album with him on that album, but chances are, again, it may be something that you could use. You know what I'm saying? But now it's like you just got to find it, you know, and if you know the names, like, you know, like a person like myself that's historically inclined with a lot of the records and a lot of the artists and the back people, I know these people's names and stuff. So it's easy for me to find things, and even things that I don't know, my intuition from digging for so many years, I know it. But for somebody that really don't know, you know, they just have to potluck it and come across it. You know what I'm saying? And and they don't really learn the knowledge of where it come from, or even respect the people, the players of the ones that created it in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's always good to try to do your knowledge. There's Google out there. So if you have a record that you don't know the information on, go and Google it and just let it, you know, just do what it do, and you see what it is, and learn more than just what the record is. Learn where it come from, the instruments that they played on it, and different things like that, and it make you be more creative in your production.